you very much, Vicki. I feel this is a wonderful day for introductions. I'm very excited not only to introduce Vicki, but also to introduce David Kleeman. It's funny, I know no matter how I describe your past and your experience that I will not do it justice. I've run into many people who are looking for insights and answers about the children's world of screens and screen time, and do I have any advice or recommendations? And I go like, oh, you have to meet David Kleeman. And I go like, well, who's David? And I go like, okay, think about there's this one person in the world that all broadcasters go to who make children's products, who ask questions and advice, and that person is David. David is an incredible, insightful, thoughtful speaker and writer. He is currently the Senior Fellow at the Fred Rogers Center, also on the Board of Advisors for the world's most unique and most interesting international children's television event called the Prix Jeunesse in Germany, right? And he also has the very envious title of PlayVangelist for the company he works for, PlayCollective. Thank you very much for coming, David, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Scott. I needed that introduction because following Vicki in a research presentation is really daunting. I've been following her work for so long, and not just following, admiring her work. You just don't know how important it's been to the field of children and media over the years, and the insight that we've gotten from there. I am indeed the PlayVangelist for PlayCollective. I'm really happy to be back at Digital Kids. And I get the fun task of sharing some fairly big news from PlayCollective, I think. Just a quick word, and I'm going to have to dash back and forth.
Do you want me to do it for you? I'll just sit
okay.
there.
Yep, perfect. A quick word about PlayCollective. The collective part of our name is the result of a merger about 18 months ago between a company, PlayScience, that was primarily research and strategy, and a company, Vector, that was primarily strategy and business development. So the great thing about us is that we can take a project from start to finish, from the initial concept all the way through to implementing it as a business idea. We work around children and family, learning and play, and we do things with media, games, curriculum, products, and more. We've got a play lab in New York where we do research on site. We have an office in Washington. Our head of research is in Western France. Our head of curriculum is in Detroit. I'm usually found on a plane somewhere. Some of our clients right now include the Girl Scouts, where we are taking the cookie sales program digital for them and adding an entrepreneurship education program for them. We're working with the New York Hall of Science on some of the apps, the noticing tools that they're developing, trying to help platform them. And we're about to launch our 4th study for Digital Book World of e-reading and e-books and families' use, purchases, and attitudes about those. But today I get to talk about something, go ahead and switch to the next one. Talk about a new development from PlayCollective, something that grew kind of organically from what we've been seeing in the world around us. Long ago, in the dark days before the internet, in fact, in the early days of multi-channel cable, I worked at PBS. And I actually had a program manager, or a station manager from one of the PBS stations say to me, we don't need more children's programming. We've got Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. It's a pretty good example of how far we've come since then. At the time when he said that, there were only a couple of broadcast TV channels and only limited time for children's programming. So schedule scarcity bred kind of generic content and the idea of children as a monolithic audience. Then multi-channel cable came along and kids channels and the opportunity to build age-based programming blocks. So then you had 2 dimensions. You had target age and you had the content. Then the internet arrived and we added interactivity to the question. What kinds of stories are told best on linear TV? And what kind are told best on devices where kids can actually participate more? Now, as I'm sure everyone in this room knows and feels deeply, the pace of change is accelerating. We've got mobile, we've got all kinds of things, and we're adding physical play into it as well, the physical-digital intersection. And with each new dimension, the considerations for people like you multiply when you're creating content, when you're creating products, when you're creating experiences for kids, so even beyond the digital world. And they start recombining in new and unique combinations. And that is how we came to develop the PlayMatrix, or as I sometimes call it, the rubrics cube. We've identified what we think of as 6 primary factors that define and distinguish kid-centric development. The PlayMatrix, and you'll hear more about those factors, can be either formative or diagnostic. It can be an essential development tool for those of you creating media or content or products for kids. But you can also reverse engineer something that's struggling and find out where you've got misalignments in the design. The PlayMatrix also applies as well to essential research. It's perfectly designed to frame a lot of the questions that we're struggling with right now as we switch over from a model of research that was really built around television and the affordances, thank you for the term, of television, and trying to, and that monolithic era that I was talking about kids and television, and trying to understand kids' digital, interactive, mobile, immersive world right now. Let me give you a little visual example. Go ahead. Oh, actually, no, that's going to come in just a minute. So as I noted, we're working with 6 elements, and it's possible that we're going to add others as we go along. But if we do that, then I'm going to have to take the rubrics cube and make it into like a polyhedron or something like that. So I'm not rushing. You see them all up there. Audience is pretty straightforward. For what age and stage are you developing your concept? In the monolithic era, I can't tell you how often I was told by people we're developing for 2 to 99 or 2 to teen. It just drove me crazy. So now we really understand that every different age and stage of development you need to develop differently. Pedagogy, the philosophy or the method that guides your storytelling or your instructive approach. And Vicki, I'm really glad that you mentioned also how with every new technology we get excited about the learning potential. It's not just that we get excited about it, we market around it. And we often market around it in unfair ways that really don't represent what's authentic. When I work with product designers, with media designers, I recommend always that we talk with parents about how we believe the target audience grows and learns, and how you've incorporated that into your work, rather than trying to predict or promise learning outcomes. That's where we get into trouble, when we say your child will learn this from this, or your child will be smarter, or your child can read at age 1, or whatever. The former, when you talk about what you put into it, is intent. And we control intent. Talking about whether learning will take place is much more complex and is dependent on variables that are outside our power very often. Platform goes beyond technology. It's really important to say that books, art supplies, toys, play in the real world, all of those are platforms as well. Form factor is distinct from platform. Sometimes it functions somewhat as a subset of platform. Developing for a smartphone is different from developing for a tablet, is different from developing for an e-reader, is different from developing for a laptop, is different from developing for television. Console computer games are different from motion-based games, are different from portable games, are different from game apps. Similar distinctions happen in physical toys and games as well, so that's form factor. Content may be the most obvious, the story you're telling, the curriculum that you're teaching, the themes that are woven into the play. And context is the who, where, why, when, and how of play. Indoors or outdoors, site-specific or play anywhere, shared or solo, and so on. There are lots of context factors around it, and if you haven't read Lisa Guernsey's book called Screen Time, she's wonderful on the idea of context. And go ahead. Since Rubik's Cubes are all about aligning the correct sides and edges, it's not really surprising that what we've found in the work we've done so far is that the most interesting research questions occur at the intersection of 2 or more of the PlayMatrix elements. So here are 2 examples that we're particularly intrigued with and that we're planning to study soon. At the intersection of platform, form factor, and content, how does a child's play change when they're using a physical toy, Lego bricks, for example, versus the digital manifestation of that toy, the bricks app on the touch screen, or the Lego software on a laptop or desktop? Do they approach a task differently? Do they design in unique ways? And then as another example of the intersection of context, content, and pedagogy, and with growing interconnection between home and schools, as we've been hearing about all day today, how do kids play differently with the same content in a classroom versus free play at home? What design elements facilitate both or make each unique but equally beneficial? Go ahead. So this is my favorite. This is where we get to the fun. The PlayMatrix is a tool for a really wide range of, PlayMatrix is just a framework. It's that set of foundational elements and questions that I've been talking about. It transcends any particular moment. So as new technologies emerge, or as we learn more about child development, or as we discover new ways of facilitating playful learning and teaching, we can hang them all on that same framework. And equally, the PlayMatrix should be an ongoing resource for innovation. We want content and product creators to keep twisting this cube and to find new combinations and new concepts that are going to engage and educate and entertain. Okay. PlayMatrix, as you see here, is a tool for a wide range of professions. We use it with creators of cross-platform and transmedia content all the time. We even use it with curriculum development in the work I was describing with the Girl Scouts. If you've seen the blog that I write every 2 weeks for KidScreen, you'll know that PlayCollective is devoted to trying to connect industry and academia. And here too, the PlayMatrix speaks across professions. It's an evaluation tool for educators who are choosing platforms and content for their classrooms as well. Go ahead. So now let's add another dimension to the challenge that's in front of us. Most of today's research happens in one of two contexts, either academia or industry. Each has got unique methods, unique cultures, unique benefits, and unique drawbacks. But for the purposes of foundational research, neither one is completely satisfying. Academic research tends to take a long time. Results are usually reported in writing that's obfuscating to lay readers. It's often in expensive or restricted journals. And a lot of times the goal is to illustrate theory or to illuminate theory more than it is to apply to practice. By contrast, industry research is usually done on a fast track, but it's typically addressing very specific questions that are unlikely to have broader resonance beyond the people who have commissioned it. And because someone's commissioned it and usually paid for it, it's probably done on a proprietary basis, so no one else can see it anyways. Even if something interesting came out of that proprietary research and the company that commissioned it said, yeah, go ahead and announce that, the response to it would be, yeah, but that was paid for by industry, so of course you're going to find that. It's going to taint perceptions about the study's objectivity. Okay? So here's what PlayCollective is doing about it. In the coming weeks, we are going to launch what we think is the first Kickstarter for basic research. The proposed study is one that we're going to start with is one that I mentioned before, the how kids play differently with digital and physical manifestations of the same thing, Lego bricks. The research design will be transparent. We will share that with all who contribute so that you'll see how we're going about it. Supporters will get access, or as a reward for giving, we offer you access to the research while it's in progress. For some people, that'll mean coming live to our Play Lab in New York and watching it going on. For some people, it'll mean watching it streamed. We can stream worldwide, so you can watch our research. And in either case, we're going to have an expert providing play-by-play so that you understand what you're watching as the research is happening. Supporters will get access to the results at various levels. It might be the top line, it might be full results, it might be via a webinar, it might be in writing, or it might be even a personalized briefing, depending on the level of contribution. In our case, we have stretch goals, and our stretch goals are more studies, to which we'll give givers the same access. So if you give to the first study and we reach higher goals, you'll still get access to those future studies. And top-level givers can even work with us to structure questions as long as they don't disrupt the focus, the clarity, or the independence of the study. We're going to have levels that are affordable to everyone, from student to corporation. Companies that can't afford bespoke research, the kind that people would come to us to commission, will still be able to get insight from our studies. And as needless to say, we are pretty excited about this. And we look forward to your participation, to your ideas while we're here the next 2 days. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how this can work and how you'd like to see it work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the PlayMatrix as well. And I'm going to recap at the end and also try to get the blood moving for the afternoon with a quick video just to close with.
I like to play. 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 I play all day long in my room. I play all day long in my room. I like to play.
Thank you. Look forward to playing more.